We're all looking to find our roots, especially when it comes to people whose ancestors left Wales and immigrated to places like the US, Australia, Canada, or any number of places. One of the big goals is to find your immigrant ancestors while they were still living back in Wales. Often, one of the few pieces of information you have is a name or even just a surname. So today we're going to answer the question, can your Welsh surname tell you exactly where your ancestors are from? My name is Dai, welcome to GenealCymru, and let's get into it. What types of Welsh surnames are there? Most Welsh surnames fall into 5 categories: toponymic, estate, occupational, characteristic, and patronymic. So let's start with the toponymic surnames. These are surnames derived from the topography or the shape of the land, so they're place names. These surnames very clearly connect you up with a location in Wales. So this would include a surname like Havard, which is believed to originate from Haverfordwest. So if you have that surname in your family tree, chances are that you'll find connections back to Pembrokeshire. And then there's names like Glyn, which points you to a valley, which isn't really helpful in a country covered in valleys. Toponymic surnames aren't the most common, but one thing that I want to point out is that it's not always the surname which carries this useful geographic information. Sometimes it's a middle name. So to pull from my own research, one of my ancestors married Reverend John Dai Davies, who was a congregational minister. As a Davis, his surname isn't toponymic, but Neiddryn is, because he was actually from Neath, or in Welsh, Castell Nedd. I have another ancestor named Glyn Mostyn Jones. Again, Jones isn't a toponymic surname, but Mostyn is the name of a community in Flintshire. And when you look through the records, you'll find he was actually born in Mostyn, where his father, the Canon Griffith Jones, was the vicar. The name Mostyn leads us to the second type of surname, which is the estate type. These names are often associated with noble families, like the Mostyn family in Flintshire or the Pennant family in Denbighshire. These noble families adopted their surname from the name of their estate, and they generally did so long before most people in Wales even had hereditary surnames. Does that mean that if you have the name Mostyn in your family tree that you're related to a noble family? No, not necessarily. Sharing a surname with a noble family in Wales doesn't mean that you're related, but you may find that your research eventually takes you back to the place that originated your surname. So now we get to the surnames that, on the surface, don't have as clear geographical origins: occupational surnames. They reference people's work. So probably the most ubiquitous of these names is Smith, which is a very common name in Wales today. Another example is Saer, which comes from the Welsh for carpenter. As you can imagine, there were smiths and carpenters all across Wales. It's the same with characteristic surnames like Gwyn, meaning white, Lloyd, meaning grey, Vaughan coming from Bychan, meaning small or younger, and Iorwerth, coming from Ior, and Berth, meaning handsome lord. These names could be used to describe people all across Wales, so they don't have a clear origin place. Lastly, we get to patronymic surnames, which are by far the most common surname types in Wales. And by most common, I mean that every one of the top 10 most common surnames in Wales is a patronymic, and just those 10 surnames are held by half of the population. So chances are, if you have Welsh ancestors, then you have one of these names in your family tree. The basics of patronymic surnames is that historically children took on the first name of their father as their second name, and at some point in each family's history, depending on their social class and where they lived, that tradition stopped, and the second name stuck as the hereditary surname and passed unchanged down the generations. Oftentimes, any names that show up as men's first names eventually show up as last names and vice versa. So how do patronymics relate to geography? Let's say that one of your ancestral Welsh surnames is Thomas. In 1881, there were 123,177 people with the surname Thomas in Britain. The hot spots for this surname are all of Wales, except Radnorshire, all of the English counties anywhere close to Wales, and most of southern England. And are they all related? Absolutely not. They're not all descended from one big Thomas family. They're descended from thousands of different men named Thomas. This is pretty representative of the geographical distribution of many of the other patronymic surnames. But there were some surnames that are a bit more concentrated. Families with the surname Rees, which had 26,014 bearers in 1881, were most concentrated in South Wales. And Griffith, which had 9,737 bearers, was most concentrated in North Wales and Glamorganshire. Patronymic surnames are just too common to use to narrow down to a specific place where your ancestors are from. And I think it's a big misconception, and often in genealogy spaces, I see people come in with the expectation that a surname is all you'll need to answer your questions. What I think most people are expecting is something like this English surname from another branch of my family tree, Bellew. So my great-grandma's name was Bessie May Bellew. Bellew was originally one of those surnames that arrived in southern England in 1066 with the Norman conquest. So it has a clear origin point. But my Nana was born in Swansea in 1910. Her mother's family, for as far back as I've been able to research, are from South Wales. Her father was born in Swansea too, but his father, Arthur Bellew, was born in Devon and moved to Swansea in the 1880s, probably because of the growing economy. If you look at the distribution of the surname Bellew in 1881, you'll find 4 hotspots: Lancashire, Middlesex, Somerset, and Devon. There were only 166 Bellews in all of Britain, with never more than 50 in any one county. Realistically, you could research all of these people if you wanted to, and you'd probably find that somewhere along the way, most of them are related. And when it comes to Wales specifically, there were just 8 Bellews living there in 1881, and 5 of them are from my Nana's family. So if I had to research my Bellew family, only knowing that they're from Wales, then I'd be set. It'd be pretty easy. But not so for all of the Joneses, Davises, Williamses, Lloyds, and Morgans out there looking to research their family tree. What you'll need is to find some other piece of information to narrow down your search. Places or farm names are the best. Or you can look for the name of a church or chapel that they attended. Even knowing their religious denomination will help. Learn about your ancestors' friends and community members. If they were migrants, they might have known these people before they left Wales. But no matter what you're able to find, you need to know more than just their name, because that won't get you very far in Welsh genealogy. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know by leaving a like. It really helps push the video on YouTube so that more people get to learn about Wales. And if you're up for more, why not check out my playlist on Welsh surnames and naming patterns.